detective thrill me.
Thanks for joining us. First episode of 2019. Maddie, Jared, how are we, fellas? How was Christmas, New Year's?
Good.
All that sort of stuff. Plenty of time off.
Too much. So I was at the coast.
Did you get to watch plenty of shit?
I didn't watch anything for a week. Did
you watch Die Hard, or are you?
I told you I'm not allowed back until I've seen it, and
you have seen it. Yeah?
I'm on board.
You're on board. Good.
I feel like I'd seen it before, but obviously I hadn't seen it 18 times like you blokes.
No, that's true. All right, tonight's episode is Mandy from 2018, back into Cage territory. This is sort of Cage's comeback, isn't it?
Oh, somewhat, yeah. never needed to come back. He was always, right up the top.
But this isn't a tax bill.
No.
This is legitimate work.
This is art.
But before we get to that, let's do the rounds. Jared, how'd you go?
Yeah, so I finished up the Innocent Man. Plenty of, XLSR tests and DNA testing and whatever going on. Look, it was all right. It was all right in the end.
I had more questions about the second one. I can kind of see why that hadn't.
Yeah, look, I don't know. In terms of a piece of entertainment to look at, sometimes you got to. Sometimes not having a resolution really hurts it.
Yeah.
The last couple of episodes, you just knew they weren't going to end anywhere. So we were running over ground that we'd already kind of seen, and it was just, I don't know. As a piece of entertainment, it failed on that level, I thought, but it just reinforces my hopes that I never run into any of that sort of law enforcement shit again. I think
Mate, my first words out of my mouth, I want a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
And not fucking Lidl huts. I want top of the line. Mortgage my home. Yeah, I want someone.
I want the bloke with the glasses from Making a Murderer that got pissed off because of how bad he was. He'll do. Again, the kids getting me through the box set. I watched Home Alone 3, unfortunately.
Holy shit!
And I started 4. The less said the better. Yeah. I went back to a bit of 80s work that I'd barely even heard of, let alone seen. It was called Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. It was a bit of fun.
Was this on Amazon Prime?
It was on YouTube.
So you went a tier lower.
It should have been on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's the bottom, mate. YouTube's a step up. I couldn't find it on Amazon Prime. It was all right. It was kind of like a sort of post-apocalyptic sort of story. These girls in LA, and one night, comet comes across and basically wipes out the population, turns some into zombies and whatever. But then there's sort of there's an angle of these other survivors who are trying to sort some shit out that kind of plays into where the story goes. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was a bit of fun, actually. I saw How to Train Your Dragon with the kids.
Is that the third one?
No, I thought that was just the first one. Yeah, it just happened to be. I was away down at a hotel that was just putting kids things on, so the kids dragged us along to this little viewing of the movie. So it was all right.
Yeah.
I watched Apostle.
Yeah, how was that?
I didn't love it, but I would definitely recommend checking it out because it's got some pretty unique sort of things in it. A couple of scenes that ended up quite fucking harrowing in the end, like watching some of the stuff that ended up going on. It was quite impactful. I would definitely check it out. Something a little bit different. I watched Bird Box.
What was your take on that? Because Christ, that's getting a lot of raps, and I thought it was okay without being anything special.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I thought I again didn't love it.
And then these tools are walking around doing some stupid challenge.
Yeah, the Bird Box challenge.
What the fuck's wrong with people?
I'm the one that there was one internet thing of like
I do that every night when I get up to take a piss.
Somebody getting out for about 5 seconds and peeking out. That'd be me. I'd be done. I'd be toast. I wouldn't be able to do it. But yeah, there was too many people to start with.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you got fucking Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, he's in it for like 5 minutes.
They leave and then they're never spoken of again. So what was the point of having him in the first place?
Yeah.
Like
him and one of the girls, the cop.
Yeah.
They just disappeared.
I thought perhaps they could cut down on those people. Malkovich was hamming it.
He was hamming
at his best.
But it needed a bit of ham for me.
Yeah.
I was happy with Malkovich's form.
The thing about it is Malkovich was, he was.
But quite frankly, listen to the arsehole. He might actually know something.
Yeah. I thought Sandra Bullock and What's his name? Trevante Rhodes.
Yeah, they were
I
good.
thought they were both really good.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. I thought they did as well as they could do in terms of when they had the scenes of them getting out with the blindfolds on.
Yeah.
They just shot it really close so you couldn't see anything around them. But it's not like A Quiet Place where you could.
There is
the whole thing about A Quiet Place is you can cut down the sound and use all that shit on the screen to paint the picture. With this, using the other sense, it's like all you can do is occasionally cover the camera, which sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shit to watch. Whenever the blindfold's on, it's shit to watch. So.
And, I'm reading stuff online, they're saying it's the scariest movie they've ever seen. I was thinking, what's going on here?
Did you see the description of the monster? I
No.
can see why they didn't show the monster, because Sandra Bullock gave a very brief description of it being something like a green alien type man with a baby's head. It sounded bloody ridiculous.
Did she follow that up with, I'm glad we never looked at it.
Yeah, well, I think that's basically what they said. They just couldn't figure out a way without. Yeah, they just went with the route of it's not really what the story's about,
No.
and we can't really scare you as much as if you don't see it anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't love it. I watched the entire series of Murder Mountain,
Yeah.
which is the new
What's that?
Netflix one. It's one about a dude who disappeared in a place called Humboldt County in California, and it's basically the marijuana growing capital of the US. And so, I mean, I didn't mind the series. I quite enjoyed it, but it veered between the murder and what was going on in this place and the legalization. And part of me felt like the stuff about the legalization was more interesting. So it kind of sidelined what the plot started to be about. It seemed like it would shift in importance as to what the story was actually about. But I didn't mind it. It was worth a look. I stumbled across, for some reason, I'd been wanting to watch this again, but I stumbled across The Late Shift, which is that one about Jay Leno and David Letterman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was the old
That was
HBO one.
interesting,
It's got
right?
Kathy Bates. Yeah, look, the movie's pretty average, but it makes me really want to read the book about what went on that it was based on, because
Yep.
it seems like a really kind of interesting story, and I feel like the movie perhaps portrayed Leno a bit better than maybe he could have been portrayed.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it was interesting enough.
Big dollars. So
Yeah.
you can understand it. Status and all that sort of thing.
Yep. I got on to Truth or Dare. Fuck. It was awful. It was awful.
Yeah. It's Blumhouse's most by the numbers.
Well, it was
Pretty
another one
average
that
thing.
obviously was, cheap enough, churn it out, make some dollars, but definitely uninspired compared to some of their other work.
Yeah. Even its kind of hook, which is the truth or dare game that won't die.
Yep.
It's nowhere near as interesting as a Hush or a
No,
Happy
exactly.
Death Day or any of those.
So you could see that the idea could have been interesting, but it's just not very well developed. And when it comes out, what's going on, it's just
And the acting
cliched
is just
and
shit. That's
acting's
low level
terrible.
stuff.
yeah. I was very, very disappointed. I watched The Night Comes for Us.
Oh, yeah.
So it was another Netflix. It was on Netflix. I can't remember whether it was a Netflix original or not, but it's on Netflix, and it was it's Iko Weiss and Joe. What's his name? Joe Tamiel or whatever. So the guys that are in the raid.
Yeah.
More of the same. Like I enjoyed it, but my word, do they ramp up the bloody violence and the gore?
Above the raid.
Probably not better than the raid, but the violence is fucking miles above the raid. Like the raid was more of the just hand to hand and some knives and stuff. This is just, I mean, there's body parts that get ripped off. There's people being blown up. There's gunfights. I lost count of the amount of broken arms and legs, and
Oh, jeez.
it was
that sound.
It was intense. It was a couple
Didn't
of
someone lose his nose?
Yeah, someone. I don't want to spoil it too much, but one of the thugs charges him with a hook and then gets it fucking rammed into his nether regions and appears to have them removed.
Oh, God.
Look, it's I would say if you like the raid and stuff, you'll like it, but Jesus, I thought I needed to sit down for a fucking therapy session afterwards. And the last one I saw was I caught Wreck-It Ralph today with the kids.
How's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it's all right. It's a bit of fun, but for me, they veered too far away from the video game stuff. That's what I loved about the original, the references to the video games and stuff. And there's still some of that, but it goes too broad with the internet and kind of loses its way a little bit, I think. And that was me.
All right, Mandy?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a smaller list than you, Jad. But
You've got a life.
no, not quite. I went back and I watched Nightcrawler properly, the Jake Gyllenhaal one.
I hear that's good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, when I started it, maybe I wasn't in the right headspace, but I got really into it. And just that whole black comedy thing sucked me in. He's acting as the head chaser of these stories and manipulating things. You can see it happening in real life, and they're really entertaining. And Gyllenhaal's character sort of shading the morals of what's right and wrong is always going to be good. I watched Birdman as well.
Oh, yeah,
Michael Keaton. And,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one as well. That whole look into what gets you credibility in the world, and I guess how you're going to react to that, and just I guess some of the egos, you can imagine some of the egos in Hollywood that would be like struggling with what is art and what is going to get you paid, and I can always go back to it if I really want to. And they did a really good job of sort of some of those things that were going on, the superpower-ish sort of things. They did a really good job of explaining that at the end with just him playing mind games with himself. So I enjoyed that one. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, how was that?
Well, if you've ever been to karaoke with me, you'll know I don't mind a bit of a Freddie tune.
Yeah.
So I was tapping my feet the whole time.
I believe it's not exactly
Factual.
Yeah,
but
it really probably didn't need to be.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, some of the characters had to be two-dimensional in order to fit as much in as they did. But they had some good likenesses in there. Bob Geldof and I just love it. It was cracking me up. Even the Queen members all looked pretty similar, give or take Roger Taylor. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So thought it was a real simple movie to watch, and they missed the act that was based around the making of Highlander, which upset me.
Should have been the entire movie.
You'd have been absolutely spewing, wouldn't you?
Didn't even get a mention.
Money back.
But yeah, but it was still.
There should have been a scene with him talking to Christoph. I don't understand what you're saying. Just let me go away and write the songs. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think they.
Russell Mulcahy going, Lighting, get out the bloody fog machine.
Yeah. They're definitely making Freddie probably out to be a bit more aloof than I guess he probably was, and a little less drugged up than he probably was. So.
Yeah, well, when there's stories floating around, they had parties with midgets and cocaine balls on their head. You're assuming that they probably snorted a
They sort of mention it, but they don't show any of it. And I guess that whole skirting around his AIDS as well, I thought they could probably play on that a lot more.
Yeah, but I think that they chose, because the initial phase of putting the film together, they had Sacha Baron Cohen. Yeah. And he wanted to make it like that.
Yeah.
He wanted to go into the dark stuff.
Yeah.
And the other members the other members of Queen didn't want to do that.
Of course.
And at the end of the day, I guess you're looking at a movie that's supposed to be kind of rousing, to getting up to that live age.
But that's the difference between.
I know, but that's why it's not factual, and that's why
if
people are saying that it's not factual.
But for me, you can't tell the story of Freddie.
I think you had to tread a line between
especially that's like
and they did.
Some of their best music came because of that.
Yeah.
And that desperation. That's what I find really interesting, and it's really engaging about. I guess digging into some of their lyrics is. Just the struggle behind it would have been incredible. Yeah. And just he tells them all that he's got AIDS, and they will have a hug, and that's it. That's the end of that. Surely there'd be some mixed feelings and some denial.
Yeah.
And
See, that's it was
when did it happen? 87, I think he found out. Didn't he? It was after Live Aid, whereas the movie purports it to be before Live Aid.
Yeah.
So it's been done for entertainment purposes to move things around and skirt over.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What I think would have been interesting stuff.
So maybe it opens the
compelling
door for a better one, but I don't know how they're going to redo Freddie. That was awesome.
I believe Rami Malek is very, very good.
Yeah, it's solid. And I got Die Hard under my belt. So I told you I wouldn't be back. I told you I wouldn't be back.
Gibbo will be happy.
I can understand. No, he'd still be upset with me.
Yeah, a little bit. It took you too long.
Yeah.
He'd actually talk to you.
But maybe he'll look me in the eye again because he was...
He was not happy.
He was acting like I cheated on him.
Is that your list?
That's my list, yeah.
Alright, I've got a decent list of sort of newer stuff. I went and saw Bumblebee. I loved it. I think they did a fantastic job.
You're getting dumber with age.
After so many bad ones.
Yeah.
Like the others, from what I've heard, are just.
Did it have plot or was it bigger?
Yeah, well, it had a plot. It wasn't too complicated, but the way they did the relationship between her and Bumblebee
was
the
better.
core, and you needed that.
Yeah.
That's what the first one actually had too.
The rest of the plot was kind of paint by numbers.
Yeah, it was exactly what you expected. There was a
Those
little bit of
two
shit that was in there that probably shouldn't have been, but
it was much more fun for sure.
I still find it bizarre that the Transformers franchise has survived when you've got like a tape deck as being one of the alien machines that can transform.
Yeah.
It's just it's such a simple idea. It was great for a children's thing, but it continues to grow and
And I said this to Jared when I saw it. The worst part of the film is the first 5 minutes, which is the massive battle on Cybertron where there's robots everywhere and things. And then as soon as they veer away from that and they come to Earth and they start the relationship up, the movie finds its feet.
Yeah.
And it really does well.
I've still got
Surprisingly.
a ridiculous crush on the 86 animated version of that. There's Stan Bush all over the place.
I think that is in the film, isn't it?
Yeah, really?
It is in the film.
I might have to go watch it.
And it's set in the 80s as well, which I like.
Yeah,
That was
nice.
another nice little touch. I saw Game Night.
Yep.
That was pretty funny.
I loved it.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's the scene where
Where they both go.
they're both throwing Richie.
They're trying to take the bullet out. They both go. That was piss funny, and I personally loved his brother who kept rolling in and talking about how we're taking it up a notch.
Yeah.
He gets his fucking head punched in, dragged out, and he's a bloody smuggler. I saw Baywatch.
How was that for you?
I didn't.
Did you go with high expectations?
No, I went with low
questions.
expectations. Jared already told me.
And it was still bad.
Piece of shit. But I thought maybe he's over exaggerating. No, he's not. It's so unfunny. I think it's that the two laughs I got, strangely enough, involved people's dicks being something or having the Zac Efron check under a dead guy's scrotum to see if he's had an injection. That was about as funny as I found it.
Yeah.
The rest of it,
the gags in the dialogue were just.
I just sat there going, "Is this
bad.
meant to be a comedy or is it meant to be like they kept having these massive action scenes?" And it was like, I don't really get what tone they wanted to go for. It was they were kind of trying to go 21 Jump Street, but without the wit.
It was nowhere near as funny. If it had have been funnier, you could have left the plot kind of pretty close to what it was, and it would have been Jump Street light. It would have been okay.
Was it like 100 different cameos? But
There was Pamela Anderson and Hasselhoff, but even then, like, it was funny because I read a review of it, and they were saying the difference between those two cameos where they kind of like put up on this pedestal about Baywatch, whereas Johnny Depp was a scumbag undercover cop who gets his head blown off, in Jump Street. That Jump Street knew what its tone was.
Yeah.
This one didn't, and I don't know what was The Rock doing.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like his kind of movie. Honestly, I got a couple of giggles out of him constantly calling Zac Efron by bloody boy band name.
Yeah, look, it did have a little bit of what you could see him excelling in, like being the big macho bloke with a few gags up his sleeve. But the jokes were not funny, and all the jokes seemed to be about his bloody level of arrogance, about how big he was, and how, and they just weren't funny.
Yeah,
it was none of the lines really landed at all.
No, not at all. I saw The Strangers, Pray at Night.
Mm-hmm.
The first Strangers was so good because it was so out of left field in terms of these people just turn up at this house. And there's no explanation for them being there, why they're there. It's like Halloween, somewhat. This one is honest to goodness, he has got the worst ending ever. It's like something out of Christine. I was just sitting there going, what have they done? Like, the same person wrote both of them. And so I was thinking, when I looked that up and I found that, I thought, okay, this might be all right. And the whole idea was, a family turns up to a sort of a caravan park that's no one's really there just to stay the night. So I thought, seems like
Similar
it's got
sort
a
of
bit
vibe.
of... Yeah. But it was pretty poorly made, I think.
That's pretty upsetting to hear because I've already purchased it on Blu-ray.
Look, you might get something out of it, Jared. It may sort of tickle you, but it to me it had nothing on the first one.
No, everything I've read is in line with what you...
Yeah.
But, when I get down to JB and I see 20% off, ooh, Strangers.
The Strangers
Pick
was
that up.
creepy. This one had none of that. There was no creep factor. Like, the first one was so creepy. I watched Evil Genius, that documentary about the heist. It could have been one episode, I reckon. They keep talking about this guy being a genius. And, in some ways, yes, he kept the cops off him. But basically what he did was he transferred the blame to this woman who essentially was a couple of beers short of the six.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't able to point
herself.
them in the direction to say, no, he did it.
Yeah.
Because she was loose, mate. She didn't have the ability to pass it on.
Yeah.
But there were several coppers saying, we thought he was involved,
Yeah.
but we could not,
Get the evidence.
we couldn't put it on him. We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Are you saying she was like a Mr. Sampson?
Pretty
I
much.
think he's talking to you.
Yeah, basically he just transferred the blame to her. He got in first,
Yep.
right? And to say that it's genius, and they kept talking about, the guy had a bomb strapped to him and he had all these, he's walking around with a like a, it was like a scavenger hunt, clues to go. Turned out he was in on it, right? So in a way it was kind of like, this isn't really genius, because in the end it went off and killed him.
Yeah.
He was part of it. Like, where's the genius in all this? I don't understand. The only genius is the main guy pretty much got away with it. But he died about 2 years after it of cancer.
Oh, God.
So it was kind of like he got away with it, but I think the cops were always kind of looking at him. It just, they didn't have anything.
Oh, God.
And it goes for 4 episodes. Like, surely it's not 4 hours worth. It was like a 90-minute.
Right.
It could have been. It just kept running over the same shit and talking to her in prison and that. Let's not talk to her about that.
We've got balls.
Better
We've got
things
balls
to
to
do.
watching Baywatch.
Yeah,
that's
it
right.
does sound like she's got a hell of a lot to kind of put together about the situation.
Yeah, and it just didn't work for me. Now, I then decided to turn my brain off. Right? Now, some people have said I turned it off 25 years ago. And to them I
would've said
say,
35.
never prove it. But I watched the Hurricane Heist.
What?
The Hurricane Heist. It's... I don't think I need to explain what it's
from the
about.
bloke that wrote Triple X or directed Triple
No,
X?
directed Triple X.
Oh, God.
That says it all.
You know what? Stupid as buggery. Entertaining as hell. It was so.
It was not.
It was so dumb. It was so dumb. Like, beyond dumb. Like, it couldn't get any dumber. But it was directed with some flair. And, shit blows up and, hurricanes are bearing down on these people. I kind of got into it. I'm not going to recommend it to anyone, though. I'm not going to lie. I followed that up with Final Score. The Dave Bautista Die Hard /
rip-off.
Sudden Death ripoff. Again, stupid as fuck. But I enjoyed it. And I actually like Bautista as an action hero.
So he was alright as the
He was
leading
alright.
man?
I thought he was alright as a leading man. The problem he's got is exactly what The Rock's got. He's such a huge
superhuman.
human.
He's massive.
Although they do find another Russian guy who's
As
bigger than him, bigger than him, and so there's a little bit of tension when he's battling that guy, because that guy's a bit bigger. But ultimately, there's no tension,
Yeah.
because this guy he's a huge dude. He'll get out of it.
Yeah.
But Again, entertaining, silly as a wheel. I mean, you wouldn't do half the things that they decide to roll. I thought sudden death was bullshit. This one ramps it up another notch or two. And then I topped it all off with a viewing of Rambo 3.
Wow.
Rambo 2 is still the worst as far as I'm concerned. It is. Rambo 3 is fucking stupid too, but at least it's more entertaining. I just found 2 to be pure garbage. I don't know why, because everyone says 3's the worst. Most people will tell you 3's the worst. So I don't know what I saw in 3 that I didn't see in 2. But that's me. Turn the brain back on to watch this film. Wish I hadn't. Alright.
Right.
That's it. Let's go for a break. Here's the trailer for 2018's Mandy.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. You know what to do. You're a special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
So what you gonna do with that thing?
I'm going hunting.
So what you hunting?
It's crazy evil. You think you're so in love? I'll show you love.
Oh man, they wronged you. You exuded cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
Mandy from 2018, directed by Panos Cosmatos, son of... What's he, Cosmatos?
Yeah.
Or Comatos, as you were calling him.
It wasn't me. I was repeating I was repeating a name.
Okay. His only other previous credit was Beyond the Black Rainbow. It's produced by Elijah Wood, Nate Bollerton, Martin Metz, Daniel Noah, Adrian Politowski and Josh C. Waller. There's also 7 executive producers, 1 associate producer and a co-producer. How hard is it to get a movie made these days?
It's a lot of special effects.
God, Lord. And it's written by Cosmatos and Aaron Stewart Arn. It stars Nicolas Cage as Red Miller, Andrea Risenberg as Mandy Bloom, and Linus Roach as Jeremiah Sand. Budget was $6 million, and it made 1.2 in the US. And the director stated that the chainsaw fight was all filmed in one night, and he described it as living hell. So it was obviously extremely difficult to shoot.
Yeah.
Which I could see why once you saw it. All right. Matty, general thoughts, mate. Score out of 5.
Yeah, just so score, I was sort of like sitting somewhere around about a 2.5. It's very self-indulgent with the effects, and it's sort of like an excuse to show every single effect that they could possibly fit on the screen. And it felt like also just an excuse to take some drugs and watch a movie. So, but in saying that, solid revenge flick with the second half of it. I think there was some attempts at good dialogue, like good conversations and trying to be profound, but it sort of didn't really fit in with the rest of it for me. That's how I felt about it. I like Nicolas Cage in it. He was fine. You get a classic Nicolas Cage face shot in there, which gives it a star by itself, and it also got a star pretty much for me imagining Gibbo watching it. So overall 2.5.
Honestly, Gibbo would have had us killed. He would have.
He would have gone the raid on us.
He would have hunted us down.
Cage style.
Cage style.
I would totally agree with you. I gave it 2.5. It is visually arresting. Like there is a lot going on.
Yeah.
And there is some absolutely fantastic shots.
Yeah.
And it plot wise, it seems like it's kind of because they talk a bit of shit, but the plot is simple.
Yeah.
You know,
so simple
to be expected. And there's the second hour. There's a number of real badass sort of moments.
Yeah.
Like it's all happening in the second hour. Unfortunately, I'm with you. It self-indulges. The dialogue at times is pretentious as hell. Nothing happens for the first 60 minutes except for me being having hallucinations.
Yeah.
I watched it. I described it to Jared like I'd been skull fucked by someone with a Technicolor penis. But it's true. Like there's so many colours flashing in your eyes and stuff like that.
So how necessary it was. But
I gave it 2.5 as well.
yeah.
Jared.
Right. Well, I'm gonna diverge a little bit. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought I don't disagree with what you're saying. The plot is super simple, just a straight out revenge business. I think there was
that kind
parts
of works.
There was parts of people spouting dialogue where I just thought, shut up. And the self-indulgence for sure, but the bloke's got a bit of talent, so indulge away. He's like, it looks fantastic.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, imagine him with a good solid script. He could do some really good things. I mean, a $6 million budget.
Yeah. Look, I was pushing all the way up for 4 at times. I think in the end, I probably went at a 3.5 because I felt it needed to trim fat in some places. But I bought in. There was so much stupid stuff, but I was loving it. The score was really good and really engaging as well. Like, so when the stupid stuff was happening, I was like,
You were
have
just
at
letting
it.
them go.
No. Well, I wasn't letting them go. To me, there was parts of it, like the bikers, for example. I look at that like I look at something like Turbo Kid. Some of that stuff I could have looked at it and gone, it's so stupid, but it was so slick and stylish and fun that I was just like, I'm in. You got me. Like,
I thought it was Slipknot.
Guar or something like that. Yeah, it's.
I think it was more like Guar. Whatever they're called.
I think so. I had a hell of a time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun, but yeah, it needed to trim the fat. It did slow down in a couple of parts.
Slow.
Yeah,
very slow.
3.5, I think, in the end for mine.
Well, to just bust straight into the likes, it's got this real dreamy sort of atmosphere. Certainly in that opening 20 minutes or something where they kind of introduce us to Mandy and him. There's a number of really good shot selections and lighting stuff that, agreed, the guy's obviously got heaps of talent.
Yeah.
As from a directorial standpoint.
I was like trying to imagine the world they're in, because he's sitting. He starts off and he's cutting trees down. And then it goes straight into this house. And it just seems like it's just those two people in the world. And he's such a sketchy character. Like, he won't talk to anyone on the helicopter. So I was like trying to figure out like how the relationships were.
And in fact, if you look closely at it, Cage is really only in the first hour for about, 15 minutes maybe, and he speaks maybe a handful of lines in that time. He doesn't say a lot. And in fact, I don't think she says a lot either.
No.
It's really the cult guys.
There's a little bit of back and forth between them, but there's also, long shots of very little dialogue.
Yeah.
And I must admit, there's a lot of different lighting. There's animated sequences. There's mist. There's ancient mythology on the walls and stuff. Like, it's a real sort of mix of kind of like things to bring to the table, and I think at times it works really, really well.
People like some reviews I read said it was like an album cover, like a heavy metal album cover come to life and things like that. I actually looked at parts of it and thought it looks like old VHS covers and stuff. Like I really loved that.
I like the synth in the background.
Yeah,
I thought the music was good.
And they'd start every
and
section would get its own little title card.
Yeah,
and I thought that stuff was all right. Broke it all up.
Mm.
As I said, some stunning shots. You got that shot of him on his little boat, and it sort of pans out, and you got all the mountains behind him, and the lake is like super blue and everything. Like, it looks fantastic. There's all these. There's a couple of times where we get a wall of flame.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff just had me kind of going.
But the wall of flame was symbolic, though, wasn't it? They were talking about
It was just like, this is so cool.
like the purest people will burn brightest.
Yes.
Yeah. So it had a purpose, but I'd probably have to watch it again
the bedroom
to really figure out what's going on.
Yeah, the bedroom where she's sitting there reading her book and it's actually in the water. It's submerged. Yeah, that stuff was really, really cool.
I liked her story about the starlings as well. She's talking about
a little bit messed up.
Yeah.
The crowbar. You're like, okay, so we're in a pretty weird place with these characters.
Definitely.
The sequence where they pick up Mandy for the first time, they grab her, where everything's flashing.
Yeah.
That was fucking creepy as shit.
Yeah, well, it was like theatre.
Yeah.
Like, they cut out the noise, and then you got that shot of the guy that they sacrificed at the window,
and
he like grabs at the window, and then he just pulls back, and it's just fogged over. Like, it looked awesome. Like, it definitely looked like kind of theatre sort of effects, lighting and the fog and that sort of stuff. I actually thought the cult in general, up to that point, they did a really good job of giving him this sort of menacing vibe. Yeah. Apart from a little bit of a dislike when Jeremiah Sands first on there, they just did these little things, like the way that they lingered on particular people, and like the one bloke in the cult that would just sit there with his kind of mouth half hanging open. And he just kind of stare. The old lady, the interaction with the old lady in the shop, I actually love that, because they just they made it scary by just having the conversation become really awkward. Like, they keep lingering on the woman for long pauses, and she's just kind of like smiling.
Yeah, she keeps asking questions just sort of like to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and in like the awkwardness is where it becomes kind of creepy, because you're seeing this kind of premeditated shit come together.
Yeah,
and I think they obviously went to Thugs R Us because they've got the absolute cream of the weird looking crop, dudes who really would freak you out, and because of the way they're shot in a lot of sort of underlit and shadow and stuff like that, they look even creepier.
Yep.
Reminded me somewhat of a much slicker version of a Last House on the Left type of thing. Those guys, the type of scumbags they were these guys were kind of a little bit similar, but the way it was shot was a little slicker and it looked better, and it had a little bit more of a creepy vibe.
Well, you can definitely see a bit of that. Like, as I was saying to you before, I saw a bit of Mad Max about it, just obviously very different stylistically, but the story-wise and when the bikers and that come into it, there's obviously some, like, imagery from, like, heavy metal and that sort of stuff. It's very obvious, that sort of thing, but yeah, they've managed to cram it all together quite effectively.
They're getting her drunk or getting her drugged up to initiate her into the cult.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was interesting. That giant bug in the neck.
Oh, yeah, but what the fuck was that? Like, I was just there going, what is going on? That unfortunately fell into my dislike category, so I'm just sitting there going...
They took it too far.
First I thought, is that a scorpion? Nah, some sort of weird thing that nobody's ever seen. Yeah, well, they drugged her up, but I actually did like the way that they had that kind of hallucinatory sequence where it was kind of pink. Everything was pink. And every time she moved, you saw it like...
The trails and
shit. Trails and stuff. But then... Yeah, you don't need to drop your tweeds. Show us your old power. Admittedly, when she starts laughing, I was just like,
She could not help that. That was who she was.
That was piss funny because he starts going, "Don't stop now!" He starts actually getting all fired up.
It's a pretty badass cult that you laugh at his penis and then you're going to get burnt in a bag. Like, that's a that is one cult you don't want to
There is
mess
no
with.
doubt there was some shrinkage on that night. I'm sure he would tell you.
Well, he could have bloody stung himself with the wasp and bloody puffed it up a bit.
I did like those
Bring me the
aspects of
wasp.
I did like those aspects that it was like it was, I don't know what it was, post-apocalyptic or some sort of just that
Well, it
imagined
never
world.
really explained anything of that.
But like I'm giving you like they give the bikers the fat guy in the jar, and that's the the payment. You're like, this is kind of a random world that we're living in.
See, sometimes if you explain that, it goes pear-shaped.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I kind of like that they didn't explain.
Well,
it.
they had no choice. Well, how could you explain something?
Exactly. Yeah. You're gonna get yourself. It's the mental gymnastics again, right?
Yeah. Look. It's socks on cocks. That's basically how you explain it.
Yeah.
But the simple fact of the matter is, there was no point. Like, honestly, if you were writing that script and you realised, look at what we're talking about. We cannot go ahead and explain this. It's just not going to make sense. So we just need it ambiguous. And I think the ambiguity works.
Yeah.
Actually ends up working in its favour.
I've got a suspicion that some pages may have been written. Somebody may have woken up to some written pages and had trouble explaining it to themselves how they
And just rolled
got there and sort of said,
It's in.
I better just snort another line and continue writing.
And so what you're saying is several pages were rolled up and used to okay, is that telling?
I think so.
Because quite frankly,
I think it's safe to say.
That stab to Nicolas Cage, he's getting beaten up pretty solidly before.
yeah.
Is there like a time lapse between him getting his assault going and
Not
healing
really.
up? Or
It must be only a couple of
Seem
days.
like it. Yeah, it
Doesn't
they don't seem to go into it very heavily, but it doesn't seem like there's much time.
Yeah.
Bit of vodka on there and it's all good to go.
Ready to go.
The woman playing Russian roulette in front of her,
To show the cult.
in front
Power.
of him, that was fucking unnerving.
It was, yeah.
Because they hold it back.
Yep.
Like, they don't just have her go, they hold back.
And even
take
she looks
their time.
uncomfortable doing
Yeah.
it, but rolls with it anyway.
That was creepy stuff. That was really creepy stuff.
I think you've gone past it, Adam, but I'm going to chuck it in as a like for me. I'm sure it's going to be in your dislikes.
Furious masturbation?
The stuff about the bikers, how they just bring the bikers along.
Yeah.
I actually loved it. I was looking at it. As I said, that was part of the stuff where
Was
I
it
was
when he blows the conch out?
Yeah. Not necessarily saying I love the conch per se. There might have been another way to do it, but the fact that they just summon these guys and they're there.
Yeah.
When I was watching, that was the Turbo Kid part for me, where I was like, I'm not going to think too deeply about this, but I'm in. They had me hooked. The way that the stylistic part of it, and it was just, it worked.
Yeah.
See, I can appreciate that it's going to bring different reactions. So you roll with it. You roll with it. I laughed immediately as soon as when he blew the conch, then these weird dudes come out.
Yeah.
I started laughing, and there's another piece later that I laughed at. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have laughed, but I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I was caught right up. Like any other movie, it would have come across like something out of bloody, I don't know. I felt like I should have been laughing at it.
Yeah.
But it
Anchorman,
was
as opposed to.
But I guess the
It
film
was so stylish, like it looked so good. The costumes,
But the film was also
costumes.
taking this approach that it kind of fell into. Like, I guess I can see why people would go with it, because the whole world was weird.
Well,
So if you could just let it
the
go.
whole world's weird. The whole thing is inspired by like
Cage is weird.
heavy metal sort of, themes and fucking conjuring shit.
She's
Just-
drawing tigers and.
Yeah, exactly. It's where it-
Weird dream sequences.
Yeah, exactly. So
Animated
by the
scenes.
time it got to that point, I was like, I was half expecting it to get to something like this, and I'm pretty glad it did, because it ramped up the intensity of it, ramped up the fun. Like I thought it was.
He doesn't speak English, though. Is that correct?
No, he does. So he just couldn't understand. it. Yeah, it was like,
So what?
sorry.
Again, that brought on further.
You need a butter menthol, mate.
Beg your pardon? What was that? When they actually set Mandy on fire, that was fucking harsh.
Savage, right?
Harsh.
But you know what? It was shot really well.
Yeah.
Like they didn't. It wasn't gratuitous.
No.
They didn't show any of it. They basically.
She only moves when she's on fire.
Yeah.
That was the cool thing is you think that she might be dead, and they've already killed her, and then they're just setting her fire for effect for him.
But you basically get all these shots of the faces, and you get Cage fucking in pain. You get the other
old
people
mate going. Look at dude,
jaw kind of stuck on half open. And,
you get looking. You see all the scumbags again.
Yeah.
Kind of loving it, loving this pain that they're inflicting and this sort of, fear they're putting in his eyes.
Yep.
And it kind of ramps it up. And let's face it, they do a very, very good job. You fucking hate those bricks.
Yeah,
you
do.
want them fucking dead.
Yeah. And you
as
mentioned
quick as possible.
You mentioned about the scene in the house. Just prior to that, when you first see him out in the woods too, like from there to where she's burnt, is just this whole stretch of really good stuff. Like really good.
Is that where they look out the window and it's all red lighting? You can see them standing in the trees.
The whole woods are like blue and look peaceful and whatever, and then you get the one shot of like red and silhouettes. Kind of reminded me of the old Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
It reminded you of Madman? Is that it?
Yeah, well,
the blue
lensed a couple of nice blue shots. But it reminded me that the image from Halloween 3 of like the kids sort of walking with the orange background like that. It just looked excellent. So for that, because it took quite a while to get there, so that was a solid stretch. Whether you want to include the conch summoning is debatable. I myself included.
I don't. Here's the other bit that I laughed at. I put it in my likes. But I don't think I was meant to laugh at it, but I couldn't help it. Cage in his crackers screaming like a lunatic on the toilet. And I was just like, I've screamed like that when I've been trying to shift a stubborn turn before. But it was laughable. Like he was supposed to be torn up. This is why I'm saying everyone's talking about his performance, which was okay. But that sort of shit, I was like, it's fucking Ham City, man.
It's sort of like sad Cage to angry Cage, back to sad Cage again.
I actually thought that was good.
To shifting a nard Cage.
I thought he was good because he does have. I mean, when you have when you are now known as a guy who's going to do that at some point in a movie, to have like the height of that, what's supposed to be the height of your anguish, to be able to walk into a room with your crackers and start throwing vodka on yourself and going and end up sitting on a toilet and have me sit there and go, that scene was shot pretty well and Cage wasn't too bad. I actually thought that was a bit of a win.
Again, you bought in. I'm here fucking giggling like a fool because I don't know. I somehow it ended up in my like stuff. I'm still trying to work that out.
No, look. I thought, you know what?
Thankfully, it only went for a couple of minutes because I'd seen enough of Nick and his cracks. He's certainly not Con Air Nick.
No, but look, the whole thing about that shot was it didn't move until he sat on the toilet. Sounds like I'm talking about what was coming out of his backside. They just kind of let him. They made him walk into the room and probably said, just go nuts. Be torn up about this. And they stuck with him in a static shot until he sat down and then zoomed in. I was like, that was pretty good. Like, considering what it could have been.
The weapon he puts together.
The sword.
That's badass shit. Yeah. I love
that second act I liked. Because he's gone in, he's like, I've come for the Reaper. You're like, man, he used to be a badass before this. And she's calmed him down and it's sort of like awoken the beast. So you sort of know that it's been protected. The gun's been protected and he's come for it because he's going back to a previous life of being a complete animal.
See, this is where you must have bought into some point because this was one of the stupider parts of the movie. Again, I loved it. I don't know at what point
when he forges that.
Yeah, I don't know at what point he became Conan and solved the riddle of steel, but he did. But again, I just looked past that and said that looks awesome, and kept on going.
It's the stupidest weapon of all time.
Yeah, he was forging fucking steel like Conan the Barbarian. Oh my god, I didn't even think of it.
That, yeah.
At one point, I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to put a few guitar strings on it as well. start cranking out a few power chords before he starts swinging the axe.
I thought that was cool as well because I was like, oh, it fits in with him being like chopping down trees, and then they bring back the chainsaws later on. I'm like,
You're giving him far too much brain capacity there.
Yeah, so he's the type of lumberjack that instead of going into the bloody steel workshop and saying, can you give me a bloody chainsaw or an axe? He says, no,
I'll forge
my own. He's having beers with David Foster.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Dave.
The second half, I bought into the second half because I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
I got the revenge. I got those pricks getting chopped up, and they got chopped up. Like,
Yeah, but if you didn't have all, the wailing chords and the synth and stuff, building it up, building that hatred, swelling that emotion in you.
You need to know the anguish before
Of course.
Exactly.
I love that he breaks a guy's neck and then proceeds to snort a massive lot of cocaine. And I'm like, the producers and the director and everyone have already done all this. And
I think they accidentally left the camera running. Shit, Nick, save a little bit for us.
Yeah.
Is it when he stabs the guy in is it with the face with the axe, or what happened? How does he get the blood on his face?
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's the guy in the
with the TV.
Yeah, which was probably one of the worst shot scenes. Unfortunately, that's one of the negatives.
I couldn't actually tell. I
couldn't
sort of
see
got
what was going
happening.
on.
I couldn't tell what was happening, but yeah,
I mean, it was lit by pornography.
Well, that was the thing.
I really couldn't see it.
A little bit of soft core work.
Yeah, like there was only a TV on and that was it. And you couldn't really tell what was happening.
But yeah, it was when he was with the back to him, and I think he had the axe or something, and the other bloke landed on it and started spewing blood on his face.
And then he's laughing at
Yeah, he's laughing at him. Ah!
I like that. That was good, Cage. That was good,
This
Cage.
is what we're saying.
I am listening. I'm thinking I should give it that extra half star.
Gibbo is gonna. He is gonna be so happy.
He would have loved it.
He would have hated it. I reckon. He takes the blade. I did. There's just a sequence where he just cuts a bit of a swath, and he rams the blade of the weapon down that guy's throat. Shit just starts spilling everywhere. Then he has a massive chainsaw fight with that fella. Who falls on the chainsaw.
That's good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that exchange. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was an
and
awesome
the whole
little...
bringing out the super long one, which I reckon would be disadvantaged. You can't really use it when it's that big. Yeah. But,
although it keeps him at bay, keeps Cage at bay.
Yeah, that's right. And it's an entertaining fight, though. It looked a bit like I imagine like a sword fight with wooden swords on a stage somewhere.
It looked a bit over choreographed, but you're working with chainsaws for Christ's sake. I think that, you got to be very careful.
Yeah.
And then he squeezes the bloke's head until he's eye.
Loved it.
That's a good kill.
All I could think of was Rick from Friday the 13th Part 3.
I loved his shift. I loved
the eyeball pop would have been.
I love Jeremiah's shift from "Please don't hurt me."
Yeah.
It's like he's talking about he's the Messiah.
Oh yeah. He says, "I'll take you in." Then he goes, "How dare you stand over me?" He starts suddenly ranting and raving about how I should stand over you.
Yeah. He obviously was like, it's like, oh, that didn't work. I'm not doing this anymore. I did enjoy that.
You
had a ball with it.
Last time they had balls to the wall. Any other likes here, people?
The throwing axe? He chucks that axe. That was a quick kill.
And he just buries it in that dude's head.
And that's game over. I was like, that was sort of a bit of both, but a bit of a like and a dislike.
Now, who's throwing that thing?
That's it.
With any accuracy.
Well, he's been training up with Dave Foster and they've been cutting trees down. Got a big set of guns on him, mate. Actually, that was... I kind of... Because that guy, they gave the impression that he was kind of simple. So finishing off in such a simple fashion kind of fit. He was polishing his car and then just copped an axe. It kind of worked for me.
But
especially in a movie that's been so slow up until that point.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here we go.
What, wasn't actually an axe. I mean, it was forged in the lavas of somewhere.
Multi-purpose.
Was that a knife end?
The spike on the end, yeah.
Any other likes, people? Come on. Anything else?
That's me.
Okay, dislikes. That first hour is incredibly slow, or it just felt really slow to me. Not much happens. And I think you just hit the nail on the head a second ago. Until a bloke gets a medieval axe in the head, the movie's very sluggish.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of felt the opposite. I thought it was
Building.
I thought the building part could have done with less stuff cut out than the
back end.
revenge part.
So the funny thing is, maybe it's because I just found a lot of the dialogue very pretentious and very...
Yeah.
It was just dribble, like...
But there was still...
Sanders in there crapping on you about his album and showing his dick and everything, and I'm like, let's just get past this. But the problem is you kind of needed it, because you needed these guys.
I think it's him, because that stuff definitely could have been cold, but he's got a bit of that towards the end, even. Like, the stuff... he's a fucking dribbler. That was one of my dislikes. He's an absolute dribbler. He never would have been able to get a cult like that together because he's not bloody concise and charming enough. He'd talk to someone and after 2 minutes they'd be going, mate, just piss off. I can't listen to you anymore.
Yeah.
He wasn't a Heaven's Gate.
No. But yeah, so I'll probably agree. I do agree with the stuff around him. But some of the stuff around Cage and her and the way that they sort of crafted a little bit of the cult work, not his speeches in particular.
Yeah.
I actually really liked the way they took their time and chose to go with the style.
It's funny
they
because...
took a bit of the Mulcahy approach and had a bit of fog and lasers.
I appreciated their dialogue together, but I also felt they kind of got undercut. I didn't feel the relationship as well as I felt it should have been.
Yeah, they definitely did get undercut by him
because
a little
Cage and her, we could have spent more time with them.
Yeah.
Cut a bit of Sands bullshit.
In the same way I get pissed off with the superficial way relationships are created in most movies, I sort of was longing for a bit more of it in this.
Because that stuff they were talking about, although a little bit of dribble at times, it just felt a bit more real. Maybe it was the actors. Maybe the relationship felt...
That was a decision. They're not going to have conversations of getting to know each other because they've got an established long-term relationship.
I know. And when you're coke to the eyeballs
like,
like some of these guys, you would have cut those things.
But the whole thing, did I ever tell you about this story? And then that's when you.
So the idea was sound that these guys have been together.
I think his response would have been, "Oh yeah, you tell me every time we get stones."
No. His response would have been,
Go on.
I actually think
I'm really stoned at the moment.
if I was in the cult, if somehow I got roped up into the cult, I'd just have to say to Jeremiah occasionally, look, mate, just direct language. I'm a bit of an idiot. Sometimes you got to spell it out for me. You've been speaking for 5 minutes and you've said nothing.
Jeremiah, don't put your album on, mate. I'm not interested. I'm just not interested, mate.
That's when you know you're in the big time in the cult world when you've got a song about yourself.
Can we just throw a little bit of Beatles on today?
Come on, mate. This is not on. I agree with you, Maddie, that although I felt the film was visually striking, there was a lot of self-indulgence. It's obvious Cosmatos was trying everything in the book. And look, what's wrong with that? I guess in the sense of got a small budget.
I didn't realise the budget was that small.
You've got
to be honest.
this world that you've created, so it doesn't matter if you take some of this sort of shit. You can put some of that in.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you this way. I would take this sort of self-indulgence any day over the sort of Steven Seagal brand of self-indulgence, for example, where we end up with on deadly ground and things like that.
No doubt.
I'd
take this type of self-indulgence over your Michael Bay style.
Yeah,
stuff.
and as I said, I think the part where that hurt the film for me is that he probably could have trimmed a bit of stuff that it seems like he left in because of that self-indulgence, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, it was super interesting. Like, I think part of that, whatever you want to call it, is part of what made the movie kind of interesting.
That's why I'd like to see what he would do with a more streamlined, interesting script that's perhaps not as out there as what this was, to see what he would do from a visual standpoint with it. Because I think he could do some really impressive things. He showcased in a very limited budget that he could do very good directorial stuff.
Yeah. I found at some points some of the music choices were a bit off. Like, I felt like I was listening to Ween in one section.
Yeah, a lot of times they nailed it, but then a couple of times there was a handful where it was just
the first couple and the synth at the beginning. I thought that had a place, but then it sort of lost its way a little bit with that.
The fact that it was a little bit boring and the self-indulgence and the pretentious kind of talk.
Yeah,
they hurt me a fair bit.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had was that he finally gets the impetus up to get the revenge. Like he gets himself together. He goes out and sees Bill Duke.
Yeah.
And then within
Nice cameo, by
5
the way.
seconds of he kills the bloke. Within 5 seconds, he's been captured again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but he ran over.
He ran over a bloke, shot another
bike.
guy.
Did he run over the bike?
I don't even see what
I
happened.
thought he ran, well, so he got the guy with the arrow.
Yeah.
But then he ran over him again, and the fucking car flipped over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
The
thought that
guy's
was meant to
suit
show-
was obviously bloody forged in a similar
same thing. Yeah.
similar environments and
But
what
my
Nicholas
That's what I was
was.
thinking. It's like it's trying to show that they were more powerful.
Yeah, I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I
but
got either
it
that
was
or
kind of
the,
like, we got here, and
Yeah.
Nicholas is about to...
I was just waiting for the
Yeah,
blood
get
rage, and then
going.
you're like, no, you're getting
and
knocked
then,
down
boom,
again.
we've got to...
yeah,
we've got
but that's
to,
classic revenge flick. You can't just have him fucking just roll through everybody without a little
Yeah,
bit
but,
of a.
but I actually
up and
think
down.
we could have with that.
Plus,
With
that
this.
It took so long to get there.
That reaped one of the best. That reaped one of the best lines of the movie when he fucking cuts him. He's like, "That was my favourite shirt."
No, for me, you could have. You didn't need. You probably didn't need it
Yeah.
because we could have just cut a swath. We'd set the tone that these pricks set his missus on fire.
You know what though? He
They burned
doesn't.
her alive.
That's
He
enough,
doesn't.
yeah.
He doesn't face any other than the chainsaw duel, which he gets through pretty easily.
Yeah. Oh no!
If
Fights that guy outside the burning car. Ends up cutting his head off.
Yeah.
They have a bit of a tate there.
He does. That's right. I forgot about that one. But other than that little part, he doesn't face any real resistance. So I didn't mind that he got caught. It was a bit.
It took me.
Look, I sat there
Let
and I
me
said,
down.
I sat there and I said to myself, he's in handcuffs. How the fuck did he get out of them?
Yeah.
But like I
Well, I
committed to taking so much nonsensical shit by that point.
No, I know how
that
he
was
got out
the
of-
least of my worries.
I know how he got out of the handcuffs.
He snorted.
In the writer's room. Yeah, he's out of the handcuffs. How did he get out? Who cares? Move on. The visual stuff, although great, the two worst visual bits were within that, with his revenge stuff, which was him fighting the guy in the lounge room,
Yeah.
and then the fight near the burning car.
Yeah.
Again, I couldn't really see what was going on. It was, there was the flames everywhere, and it was supposed to look cool, but it kind of didn't. It didn't.
I actually liked the one at the car. I didn't like the one in the house.
Yeah, the house was really bad because you couldn't actually see what it was happening, especially with the guy dressed in all.
Some of it was
What
just.
was he dressed in?
I don't know if it was my version, but
Was it
some of it
leather?
was just too dark to
Yeah.
to figure out what was going on properly.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, I
sort of
think
took away from it.
with the fire one and with the chainsaw one, I think it seemed to be quite a clear choice that it was just silhouettes flinging
Yeah.
things around. And so you mentioned both of these, but I could have done without fucking Mr. Sands dropping his old fella out for an
Yeah.
extended glance.
I do not need
You call me a prude, whatever you want, but the bloke just bloody dropping his tweeds and standing there, hands on him. So I felt like it was bloody Dewey Cox Walk Hard again, where it was just for comedic purposes.
Yeah, look, it seemed unnecessary. Although I guess that she had to laugh at it to get burned alive. I mean, I don't know.
I
She
prefer that.
got it
I
off.
prefer that 1,000 times over the old crone talking about how she's the best lover that Jeremiah's ever had. That exposition was torturous. I don't want to know about how you match energies with your partner. You can keep that to yourself, lady.
But hang on a minute, give him your sort of documentary watching. It sounds like you do want to know. How does that 6-year-old bird keep up with this 2-year-old?
Otherwise, art imitating life, but I didn't like it.
Sorry, what was the line again? Our energies got together. Holy shit,
she's
mate!
was
No
like,
wonder I
oh.
was thinking the dialogue was bullshit.
Yeah.
That was just a load of crap.
There was hefty helpings of bullshit. with
And look,
Coach
I understood what they were trying to
Jeremiah
say is that
especially.
she was getting jealous.
Yeah.
Somewhat. She kept looking over at her and.
But that was, as we've gone over, that to me was one of the biggest problems with the whole movie is whenever he was talking, I just fucking tuned out and basically came away with no message about what he actually said.
What about what he was singing?
Mind you, my one of my
Melody
favourite.
or something?
His album had a sort of a, the Who's feel about it, didn't it?
That's the funny part for me though, because that's what she's laughing at. She goes, "Is this your song?" and starts cracking up, and that's when he gets all fired up.
Whereas I thought you were talking about the size of his knob.
When
Fire up any man.
one of my favourite parts in the whole movie though was when he's like standing at the end of the movie, he's standing at the altar or whatever he's doing at the end, and he gets disturbed by the head hitting him. The old woman's head gets chucked at him, and then you get Cage coming in. I thought that was awesome. That was such a good way to and that's what they're constantly doing with.
I don't know what it'd be.
With the charismatic leader, is just undermining his authority at every opportunity, and it was hilarious.
I don't know what would be scarier: a decapitated head rolling towards you, or Nicolas Cage coming towards you.
I reckon Cage.
Yeah, especially if he's only in his crackers, mate. That was
If he ever gets in his crackers again, that is it.
You love it. You love it.
I'm
You
dropping
give him a star for that. Come on, give him a
I
medal.
took a star off.
Give him a medal for that.
So another dislike. You mentioned the bikers' voices. They did speak English. They definitely mentioned. They said a couple of things in English.
Did they?
Yeah, but because I caught one or two words, but essentially again I missed everything that they said because there was too much going on with their voices.
What were they mumbling? Like, why was their voices so?
Well, I'm pretty sure the
Undead.
first part when after he blows the conch, I'm pretty sure the guy says they give him that jar. I still don't know what the jar is. I think that was the bad batch of
It's
drugs.
essence of blood. It's blood or essence of fat man.
and he says something about. I'm pretty sure he says something about more blood.
It's blood for blood.
But
Or
is
something
it
like
stuff
that.
He says something
dribbling
like
out of
it's-
his mouth?
He's talking about blood for blood.
Yeah, that's-
so they're like, we'll get the guy that you want.
The dialogue.
I've got to listen back. In any way, like if we listen back to what we just discussed, we'll all just be going, "What?"
You know my other dislike, the chemist. The Richard Brake, the guy that plays. The
Oh
Martin.
yeah, what was that?
Fuck if I know. Like
He had a
he's
golden gun. and all that.
he's whipping up a batch of something,
And he
and
had-
then he's got the golden
And the
gun. And he
tiger.
turns around. He's got the tiger.
There's
Look,
some symbolism there that I
this
get.
was either I need to be smarter or I need to take more drugs because I missed out on whatever the tiger was up to.
But is the tiger the manifestation of her of the picture that she's drawn earlier in the movie?
It had to be something like that because that's where he picks the direction from, isn't it?
But is he a bad guy or not?
No, I don't know.
I
Because
thought he was
I got
a
the
bad
sense
guy.
that perhaps he was the one that created the bloody drugs for the bikers,
Yeah,
but then he tells him which way it's going, so he just walks out and leaves him there. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't.
I
like
was
that
waiting
part.
for a tiger fight.
Yeah, that would have been better. Give us Cage wrestling a tiger.
Coming in the next scene with his head on his head.
Yeah. He would have actually been Conan if he had done that.
Replaced his t-shirt with a tiger suit.
Well, between forging the weapon and the bloody chainsaw fight, which essentially belonged in something in Conan, he was just about there.
Yeah, he was. Any other dislikes, people?
No, that was it. I think I had more than you blokes, and you.
No,
much.
but mine were
The
large.
pace just killed it for me. I think.
Yeah,
was
mine were large dislikes.
but like, I think there were good things in there. I would sort of like to.
I would like a
Bit
little
of a
less,
sped up
less
pace.
cocaine and a bit more cocaine.
Just
I'm a
switch
simple-
one coat for another.
I'm a simple man. Like, I need a bit clearer. cut
Look, if
than
you're
that.
going to snort if you're going to snort some coke, don't make it a pound. Make it a couple of...
You're just saying a small bump, and
Yeah.
let's get the film rolling.
Not 5 or 6 bumps a day. I want just a bump here and there. All right, that was Mandy. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify and Podomatic, and you can send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcast.au. Our next episode, keep an eye on the Facebook page for more details, but until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.